And when you look back on your research for this book, what is the most inspiring story for you? What really, moves your heart when you talk about this book?
Many stories which we have covered and some which we have not been able to cover, and all of them have been super inspiring. But the one that still kind of I have goosebumps talking about is the story where we talk about the story of this captain. His name is Captain DPK Pillai. It's a fairly publicized story, but Sudeep and I were very fortunate. We had a chance to meet him firsthand and listen to his story, right? And this is a guy who is a second generation army guy, posted in a very far off village in Manipur. It's in a tribal region in India. And they, in one particular instance, were raiding a village where there were insurgents. And these insurgents are Naxalites, which are essentially like your own people, right? They are not from another country. They are your own people who are fighting for a different cause, but creating trouble. And they ran an overnight operation. At the end, during that operation, during crossfire, he gets hit with a bullet. Now the guy is bleeding profusely. With all that, he still goes ahead and finishes the mission. Still follows entire protocol, where at the end of the entire mission, they are combing through the house where the insurgents were. Couple of them have surrendered. One of them has run away. One of them has been shot. And they find that in that crossfire, two young children have got hit. And he does his homework, and he quickly realizes that, okay, this is fire from the Indian soldiers. This is not the Naxalite fire. So this has been collateral damage caused by his men. And he's on the verge of fainting. This village has no accessibility by road. So evacuation is a long journey. Any medical care is at least 6 hours away from the village. Now, being the senior most officer, protocol dictates that he will be evacuated first from that area. And there's a chopper that comes to evacuate him. It's a small chopper, so only one person can be loaded in the chopper. And he doesn't have a choice, actually. He would be evacuated, but he forces his men to say that, okay, if we go, these children will die. And then he calls his boss and says, I refuse to be evacuated. His boss makes a call to the Air Force guy and then requests these two children be evacuated first. And these two children are evacuated. In the meanwhile, he's losing blood, about to lose consciousness. So then he takes a promise from his men that, look, if the chopper doesn't come back in time, and if I don't survive, promise me that you guys will not take revenge on this village. It is not their fault, and you cannot take revenge on these men. You will let it go. Fortunately, the chopper arrives. He goes back, takes 6 months, gets recovered, eventually leaves armed forces. And these two children also survive. Fast forward 20 years, one of his friends visits that village when he's posted there. And during that trip, he sees a bust, a statue at the entrance of the village in the name of late DPK Pillai, because all the villagers believe that this guy has died, right? And then he asks, and then they say that this was the guy who gave his life while saving two kids from that village. And then he is invited back in a hero's welcome to that village more than 20 years later. Comes to know that insurgency in that village stopped since that day because he was willing to give his life to save the children. And then that's when everybody got motivated through that example. And when I saw this, when we heard this story, right, and every time I hear it, you just get goosebumps listening to the story. That okay, if somebody, and I've met this guy, he'll make jokes, he could talk very random things, but in the moment when it really mattered, he stepped up and he did what was right. by any means. He went beyond protocol. He went beyond all the call of duty and did the right thing. Uh, and I think these are the instances or moments, right, which could be life changing, which define true leadership.